Do you all know what the best thing about Switzerland is? I don't have the foggiest idea, but their flag is a big plus. What's up, y'all? I don't know why I do that. I don't know why YouTubers do that. They ask you a question to start the video that you have no real possible way or chance of answering. Hey, how's it going, everybody? What's up, y'all? What's shaking, everybody? What's happening today? How's it going, guys? Why do we do that? I mean, you could comment, but this isn't a live stream. Anyways, rant over. Right now, sorry, the sun's behind me. I'm driving away from the sunset. Most people head into the sunset. I'm driving away. ETFs. So we talked about mutual funds. We talked about index funds. Now we're talking about ETFs. What in Sam Hill is an ETF? Well, it's kind of like a mutual fund or an index fund that's traded like an individual stock. That's kind of the best way I can put it. There's just a couple of kind of weird differences about it. An ETF at its core is basically a mutual fund or an index fund. So if it's an actively managed ETF, which I don't really know how many of those there are out there. Most of them are an index style fund where it tracks some sort of index, a small cap value index, an S&P 500 index. But it's a jacket or a bottle or a jar, if you will, that contains within it a bunch of investments into individual companies and individual stocks, just like a mutual fund, just like an index fund. The difference is mutual funds and index funds, they're just basically bought and sold at one point during the day. Okay, so if you go on to Fidelity after hours, after the market closes, and you say, I want to buy AGTHX or FXNAK or whatever the mutual fund or index fund is, you put in the order. You don't actually buy it right then. You have to wait until the next available time that you can purchase that specific fund. You can't buy these when the market's closed. And even during the day, when the market's open, the purchase order doesn't go through right at that second. Depending on when you buy it, it might not actually go through till the next day, even if you place the order when the market's open. And on all your brokerage accounts online, their sites, they'll tell you when the market's open and when it closes. You'll see a little countdown timer that'll say market closes in 3 hours and 45 minutes or whatever it is. So mutual funds and index funds, even if you buy it in the middle of the day when the market's open, the purchase might not actually go through until the next day. Stocks and ETFs, likewise, when you buy them during the day, the purchase goes through almost immediately, barring a few exclusions. There's some weird things out there that it won't, but if you have the money and it's a stock that's available to purchase, buy or sell, it'll go through. And you can do the same thing with an ETF. So lots of people will day trade stocks. So in the morning, the stock will be low, so they'll buy it. By noon, it'll go high. They'll sell it. It'll take a dump again, and because they made a couple extra bucks, they'll buy back into it, and then right before the market closes at the end of the day, it'll go up and they'll sell again, and they'll make a ton of profit. It's super nerve-wracking doing day trading. I've tried it a little bit with small dollar amounts. I take $500 and see if I can make a buck, and I didn't make a buck. Surprise, surprise, because nobody can time the market. But you can do the same thing with an ETF. So Vanguard, I know the best. There's like VTI and VOO, VXUS. These are all ETFs that mimic Vanguard's index funds, mutual funds. So VTI and VOO and all these, you can basically trade them like stocks. And so a good example of this, Robinhood is an investing app that a lot of people do. The problem with Robinhood is it doesn't have index funds or mutual funds inside of it. You can't invest in REITs. You can't invest in bonds. You can't invest in all of these different classes. It's basically just single stock trading. And for people that like single stocks, it works really good. They're ones that I think they have low or no commission fees. There's commission fees when you buy and sell stocks, depending on the circumstances. Likewise, you have commission fees when you buy and sell ETFs, and an app like Robinhood would allow you to essentially mimic investing in an index fund or a mutual fund by purchasing these ETFs because they're traded like individual stocks. Trying to do day trading with a mutual fund just doesn't work. You can't do it. You can't buy and sell a mutual fund on the same day. It's just not going to work. So an ETF would kind of allow you to do that. A couple other things is ETFs usually don't have minimum to invest, just like stocks don't have minimum to invest. The only real minimum on a stock is if a stock doesn't allow fractional purchases, where like Berkshire Hathaway, the Berkshire Hathaway Class A shares, they're, I don't even know, they're like $375,000 a share. And there's different reasons for that, but I don't think you can buy fractional shares of Berkshire Hathaway A-class shares. So if you want to buy one share of Berkshire Hathaway, you need the full share amount, $375,000. Some brokerage firms and some companies allow you to buy fractional shares of their shares. So if a share's selling at $500 and you only have $250, you could buy half of a share at $250 value. And yeah, you can invest in the stock that way. An ETF, most ETFs will let you buy fractional shares as well. Now, some mutual funds and some index funds won't. And some mutual funds and index funds, most of them actually have minimums to invest. So if, like, I don't think any of the index funds I have minimums, the Fidelity index funds, but there's an American funds mutual fund that we have that has a $250 minimum. So you have to buy $250 worth of the fund to be able to invest. More realistically, a lot of these funds, like the Vanguard ones especially, they'll have like $2,500 minimum investment, $3,000 minimum investment. You get up into some of the like institutional class mutual funds, which is what like retirement companies use, and they'll have $100 million investment minimums. So maybe that's a little too much information for a video on ETFs, but it's information nonetheless. Yeah, an ETF is basically like an index fund that can be traded like a stock, and that's pretty much it. You can day trade ETFs if you want to. Beware of the commissioning funds and or fees that come with buying and selling it like that. It's a handy tool if you're only using an app like Robinhood or Acorn to invest. I don't know, maybe Acorn lets you do mutual funds. I'll get around to reviewing all these brokerage firms at one point. But ETFs, for the average person, I don't necessarily know that you need any of the features of an ETF offers unless you really want to get into whatever that ETF invests in and you just don't have the minimum investment. So if you're looking at a blue chip fund from Vanguard that's at $3,000 minimum to invest, but they have an ETF version of that same fund that tracks the same index, you can get into the ETF at a lower minimum investment. You can buy fractional shares of it. So I hope that's helpful, guys. I don't know, maybe we'll talk about annuities next. Annuities not really quite the same as investing in the stock market. It kind of is, but it's more like, yeah. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe. I'm just going to keep the jokes coming. I'm sorry if it grinds your gears and makes your teeth hurt, but I just love it, and it makes me happy. So I'm going to keep doing it. That's my channel.